I, on Monday, started a book, and today, Saturday, finished the book, so I'm going to go through my notes for it. So this is my notes for my April 2024 reading of The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And this is the 25th anniversary edition. It was initially published in 1988. And the copyright on the inside jacket says 1988. I did not have an older copy for this reading. And then in the About the Author section at the end of the book, it actually does clarify 1988 for the initial publishing. So this is the 25th anniversary edition, published by HarperCollins. That's the publisher. It's hardcover. Story is 171 pages, and the About the Author section is 2 pages, so it's 173 pages total. I started the book on Monday, 1 April 2024, and finished the book today, Saturday, 6 April 2024. So I'm filming this the same day, this video, the same day I finished reading it, Saturday, 6 April 2024. I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, and this is my YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi. So I'm going to go through book notes, including construction and design, as well as reading notes. So, book notes, including construction and design. This is not my first time reading this book. It is a different formatting / binding than the previous. My most recent reading before this one was in, I believe it was paperback. So this is different formatting. It has, I liked the style of the book. So it says the name of the book on the bottom, the author, which I thought was like helpful for like whose book it is, like who wrote it, whose book it is, whose story it is, and kind of thing. It has writing, and it also has illustrations, visuals, kind of throughout the book, and it's broken into parts, and then within the parts, instead of chapters, there's kind of a break between, like, kind of just to break up the reading. So different, that'd be construction and design. It's not just text, and there was thought into the formatting, kind of in terms of, it's not necessarily a stereotypical chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 kind of thing. It's a little bit more, it's a very construction and design approach. And so there we go. And I like the tones of the book jacket, as well as there's a quote from the book on the back. So there we go. And I appreciated another kind of more formatting and stuff. I appreciated the About the Author. It provided a little bit of background about the person, and then also the book itself and like relation to the author and stuff. So I thought that was helpful. Okay, reading notes. It tells what the heck is The Alchemist. It is a story about the author, so it was initially published. So the author's from Brazil, and I think it was published in his home country in his home language. So it took a bit for it to get to America in the English language. English is not its original publishing language. So it's been translated for this edition. And the term boy is used, and it's, per the reading, there's kind of like the youth, the boy, the man / elderly man kind of thing. So it's like, well, okay, the youth, the boy, and elderly man. So I'm like, okay, I'm interpreting this as like young man. And he has this recurring dream about treasure, and decides to go look for the treasure. And before he leaves, he seeks the advice of like a female psychic, an elderly man, and has a flock of sheep, and then sells his sheep to his friends except for 6, and gives the other to this old man to go hunt. That's where his money comes from, to go hunt for the treasure. And then he works along his journey to earn additional income to pay for the search for the treasure. And as he's out there, and he goes to, so he's based in Spain. That's the country of the character's home, like where they're from, kind of thing. And then goes to thinks the treasure is with the pyramids in Egypt. And so has to travel the Sahara Desert and stuff, and meets tribesmen along the way, and some of whom search for treasure. And he's in search of a personal legend, and is guided by the phrase maktub or mektaub, which translates as "it is written," which is a Muslim part of the Islam religion. It is written, which is conceptually similar to, I guess, the Christian version of that would be predetermination. Kind of like both religions convey, like, sometimes things are outside of our control and there are like forces working in your favor, kind of thing, towards an end kind of thing. So yeah, and so he gets help from different people, goes in a caravan, eventually meets the 200-year-old alchemist, and stuff like that. And so I thought, in reading it this time, there was two movies that kind of came after, or works that kind of seemed to really copy this book in terms of like the overarching story. And one was Slumdog Millionaire, where I think the main characters are Muslim or Islam or whatever, but they do ask about a Hindu god, but that was based on a book. So I gotta go back now and watch. Were they? I think it was because they were Muslims. They were attacked in Slumdog Millionaire. But you know, the entire thing all leads up to "it is written," which is maktab, which is Arabic, right? But it's part of the Muslim, or is part of Islam, the Islam religion, right? So it was like it's based on a book, but I think that book was written after this book. So maybe the author was very inspired by this book to use that phrase and concept from the religion in, you know, going after one's destiny. It is written, kind of thing. Well, as opposed to predetermination is kind of like God has already set this plan in motion, which would be Christianity instead of, yeah, kind of thing. So that was one that came to mind when reading this. This was like it's not the same story, so it's not copied, but like featuring that prominently in a story. So it was kind of like interesting. And then the other one was he's in search of his personal legend, which is kind of like, I would say, as comes across as kind of like a role in society and in life, right, in person's life. What are they to be? And there's that, right, if he finds the treasure, maybe he gets to become a treasure hunter, and especially after he finds these tribesmen and a woman that he really likes out in the desert, and the woman he loves, right, if he finds his treasure, maybe it's a way of being like, I could hunt for treasure with these tribesmen, kind of thing, and be a treasure hunter. But if he doesn't find the treasure, then maybe he's a shepherd, or maybe he's a shepherd even if he finds the treasure. Point being, he has the confidence to find additional treasure if he finds that first treasure. Right. I was like, well, doesn't that sound like somebody took that entire storyline and even based the 2000s movie National Treasure off of it? I was like, it kind of deflates it a bit in esteem, that movie, right? Right, it's a 1980s book, and that movie was released in the 2000s, first decade of the 2000s, like 2000 to 2009, that decade. So there was a little bit of like disenchantment with some of the works that may have been inspired by this and did not provide attribution to this book. It could have also not been inspired by it, but yeah. In terms of my own life, are the squirrels my flock? If I move in with my soulmate and or soulmates, am I gonna have to like leave them behind? That's an option I really don't like, to entertain. Those squirrels love me and I love those squirrels, right? And some of the birds love me and I love the birds, and you know, the bunnies and yeah, and stuff. And so like there's like in reading this, right, he gave up his flock. He gave up his flock of sheep, and I'm like, am I gonna have to give them up? Moving in with my soulmate and or soulmates, do the squirrels and I go our separate ways like the man did with his flock, or are they gonna get to come with me? I could do the squirrels, and if I move, then maybe and I get both, but do like I move to France and or Hungary and or Italy, and the squirrels move to Scotland and or Norway and or Russia, and we get helpers with the squirrels, be it my soulmate and or soulmates or additional help. That's an option I haven't discussed, is what if I don't get to keep them, right? What if they don't get to come with me? Well, it's like they don't live in the house now anyway, but like, what if they don't come with me, and then, okay, and then there's the other one where I am busy, and so we keep them, we're hunkered down with some people's soulmates, possibly, you know, Kyle's out there with the lizards, you know, getting the squirrels acquainted with the lizards, in Scotland and or Norway and or Russia. There's like homebodies, and Alexander Popov helps, you know, that kind of stuff. Helps with the squirrel raising and that kind of stuff, and keeping them alive and giving them a space to live and making those places their home as I'm based elsewhere or something. But not that I want to get to see them, just like if I'm living in a city in France, then maybe them in the countryside of Russia, right, would be a safer option and more conducive to, yeah. So, but that's something I thought about in this one, was like, what if / when my soulmate and or soulmates come to get me, marry me, move me in with them, I do gotta be ready for anything if it is written. Maktub. Yeah, there we go. And even if not, so be open. There's a reminder to myself to be open. Like not the Alchemist. The Alchemist was a different character than the boy, and the Alchemist was 200 years old when he met the boy in the book. Be open-minded, like the boy, because the boy had to adapt and learn and grow throughout his journey, and I am at least attempting that at this point in my life. And I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And that is like my conclusion. Those are my notes, book and reading notes. I enjoyed it. Quick and enjoyable read, although not too quick. Like, okay, so maybe not quick. It was a enjoyable, smooth, fast-tempoed read. There we go. So my notes for my April 2024 reading of The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, 25th anniversary edition.